I measure my success as a newer agent? I'm getting on the phone with a lot of people and I'm having a lot of really good conversations, but I don't seem to be moving forward. I don't have any closings lined up yet, and so I'm struggling with that. And how do I know whether or not I'm moving in the right direction?
Well, I mean, this is a perfect question because not only new agents like Luke, but even experienced agents sometimes, your main key activity you want to be doing every day is lead generation. So, we talk about our daily rituals and habits on the team. So just to recap what those are, the first thing we do every morning is we do our affirmations, we do script practice, and then ultimately we do 2 to 3 hours of lead generation every morning. Why do we do it every day? Well, if you don't do consistent lead generation, you're most likely never to have a closing. I mean, let's be honest. You might get lucky with a friend or family member, open house, someone just walks in. But if you want to be a top agent, and Luke wants to be a top agent, you have to do daily lead gen. So the question really is, so how do I know if my lead generation efforts are actually succeeding or not? Because if you look at it today, let's say, how many calls did you make this morning?
I probably made 30 or so calls this morning.
Okay, so you get 30 people on the phone, and were you talking to them about a specific like open house, or what kind of thing were you talking to them about?
So a lot of them were just older leads that we were following up with to see where they were at.
Okay.
Maybe we hadn't talked to them in a while, but they're interested in real estate in some way or another.
Okay, so this is a great example. So you're out there right now and you're going, okay, I don't even know who to call. So the first thing we do is we always say, okay, what is our focus for today? Some days we're calling around neighborhoods. We call that circle calling to promote an open house. Some days we're calling expired listings that used to be on the MLS and now they've expired. Some days we're calling for sale by owner to say, hey, would you be interested in listing with an agent? Some days we're actually calling circle calls around a new listing that we want to make the neighbors aware of. Sometimes we're calling about a sold listing in the neighborhood to say, hey, this house just sold. Who do you know that is interested in selling? Hopefully you, Mr. Seller. Another scenario we're calling about is for buyer needs. So we might call random people in a neighborhood and say, hey, we have a Susie Smith and John Smith are married. They've got 2.5 kids and a dog. They really want to live in your neighborhood. Do you know of anyone that's looking to sell their home right now? There's no good inventory on the market. So is that a good example of different ways that we do it?
That's
okay.
Perfect.
So you're talking to somebody, and if you're doing lead generation, you're really supposed to be talking to new people. So this is not lead follow-up, this is lead generation. So when we talk about lead generation, the hardest thing to do is to convert somebody from never had spoken with them in the world to a closing. So if your success matrix is, I'm going to get some stranger on the phone the very first time, and I'm going to say to them, hey, Mr. Seller, why don't you list with us? And then they say yes, and you run over to the house, and they sign a listing agreement. You put a sign in the yard, a phone call comes in from a buyer saying, I want to buy that house. They write an offer, the offer is accepted, and it closes that day. That's just not going to happen. I mean, maybe there's some fantasy stories out there about that happening to agents. It's not realistic. So if your success matrix is, I have to contact somebody from scratch, never met them, turn it into a closing immediately, you might as well just give up on that dream because, 99.9% sure that's not going to happen. So how do we measure success was Luke's question. So here's the way I would think about it. Let's use an analogy of a football team, okay? So I give the ball to Luke and he runs with it. That's basically the quarterback to running back, right? Well, let's think about it in an actual game scenario. We are the offensive team. We get the kickoff and we get the ball on the 1 yard line and we kneel down. So we're starting at the 1 yard line. We have 99 yards to go. That's like meeting a client for the first time. It's like having that first phone call on the phone. You can fumble it really bad and probably you get that, safety and the game's over, right? You lose. But what most people do that are really successful in this business is they do what a successful football team would do. What would a successful football team do with a ball on the 1 yard line? That's, are they going to try to score a Hail Mary pass on the 1 yard line?
No.
Probably
No,
not,
not
right?
at all.
Especially at the beginning of a game, right? So what's something that a successful team would probably do?
Well, so you're looking at, when you're on the 1 yard line, you've got to get away from the end zone, right? So you've got to run a couple of running plays that probably aren't going to yield a whole lot of yardage, but you've got to get away from the danger of completely screwing up, getting that fumble or interception or whatever it happens to be.
Okay, exactly. So you're going to run a high percentage play, right? High percentage play that's going to ensure that you're not going to screw up the relationship, right? Because you don't want to say something offensive to this person. And you also want to continue the conversation another day. So in Luke's case, how do you measure success? Well, if it's the first time you've ever been on the phone with somebody, my recommendation is just build a little rapport. Don't be too salesy. And you want to provide value, right? So what's a value that you can add if you're talking to neighbors about a new listing that just came on the market?
Well, I think giving them an idea or telling them what the price is, because a lot of people don't keep up with the market. They might be really surprised to find out, wow, that's worth a lot more than I thought it would be. Maybe I should check in and see what my home's worth.
That's a perfect example. So to recap this, for Luke, he wants to make one small high percentage play. So he's going to be to the point, he's going to build rapport, and he's going to say, listen, Mr. Seller, you may not know this or not, but I've got some news about your neighborhood. Do you have 2 minutes? And they might like, sure. Who doesn't have 2 minutes? That's a high percentage shot. I'm not saying let's meet for an hour. I'm saying give me 2 minutes. So I say, Mr. Seller, I'm so excited to let you know that the house at 123 ABC Street, right down the street from you, just went on the market, and they're asking $325,000 for it. What do you think about that? And then I'd be quiet for a minute, and they might say that's high, that's low, that's surprising, I don't care. Whatever they say, now you're starting a conversation, right? So the point is that you're at some point in the phone call, you're going to say, listen, I want to honor that 2 minutes that I asked you for. So do you have any other questions about the house, or do you know of anyone that's looking to move into that neighborhood? And they're probably going to say no, or they don't want to talk to you about it. So do you say something like this? Hey, when this home sells, would you like to be on a list that I email a few people and let you know what the house sold for? Because ultimately, what someone asks for a home and what it sells are two different things. So asking that person, do you mind if I contact you back when it sells? Seller says, sure, that sounds good. Well, guess what you've just done?
Got an email.
Yeah, you got contact information, right? So you say, hey, okay, Mr. Seller, your name is Bob Smith, right? You live at 123 ABC Street, great. And your email address is bobsmith at abcstreetstreet.com, awesome. So I will give you a call. I really appreciate your time today. And when this house sells, you'll be the first to know. Click. Now, what have you done? You've just run a 5-yard play. Did you score a touchdown?
No.
Are you dancing in the end zone yet?
No, not even close.
So as a new agent, we have to get this mindset right, that we are just taking the ball and we're moving it a little bit closer down the field. The next time you call this guy, here's how the conversation goes. Hey, Mr. Seller, do you have 2 minutes?
Yeah. Didn't I speak with you maybe?
Yeah, 30 days ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? That house sold in 30 days. It actually sold in 1 day on the market. It took about 29 days to close. And Mr. Seller, I'm so proud to let you know what the sale price is. Are you still curious about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it sold for $325,000 right on the dot, full asking price.
Wow. Huh. I didn't think that it would go for that much. That's really surprising.
So this is the script, right? It's real super simple. So am I throwing a Hail Mary pass? No. All I'm doing is I'm going to say, okay, so let me ask you this question. Now that you know the price of this home, do you know of anyone else that would be interested in selling at this price in your neighborhood? And you might say, yes, no, I don't know, I'll think about that. So depending on the answer, we're just going to move the ball a little bit closer down the field. Now imagine 2 years from now, and you've stayed in touch with this guy, because then you might call him every 90 days. Hey, do I have your permission to let you know if there's any other homes that have sold in the neighborhood? You might call the guy every 90 days and just say a simple thing like this. hey, Mr. Seller, it's been a few months. You remember me? It's Derek Tye with the Tye Group. Hey, just want to let you know that prices are still going up in your neighborhood. I know you said you weren't interested in selling until your kid graduates. Just out of curiosity, has anything changed?
Well, I don't know. We have noticed, and we've kind of been paying a little bit more attention since you've been talking to us, and I don't know. I think it maybe the time has come for us to move up and get into an even better neighborhood.
Well, there you go. And there's your open door, right? So that might be your 20 or 30 yard pass play that gets you close to the end zone. Setting up a listing consultation and ultimately getting that house sold. So today's little coaching minute, really, I just wanted to encourage you to recap this. If you are a new agent, buyer's agent, seller's agent, don't feel like you got to get it all done on one call. I mean, this is a long-term process. I've been doing this for 14 years. As of today, I've sold about 1,250 homes. I can tell you that years go by sometimes between having these successful conversations, and then years later, people are calling me back and wanting to do more business. So if you're looking at this to get rich quick, get out, like, hey, I got to make $100,000 in 3 months, unfortunately, it's probably not going to happen. There's probably exceptions to this out there, but I'm telling you the long way to make this really a sustainable business model for you. Luke is a good example. He came in here, he's listening, he's coachable. You need to find somebody that you can get with you either on the Skype or phone or in person that can coach you and mentor you like this. But I highly recommend finding someone that's already been there and done this for many years. That's not just a success story because the market's hot right now, but that's actually done it during the recession and other times too. If you have any other questions, go onto my website. It's derektye.com. You can follow us on YouTube and on the Roku network and on Facebook. We will talk to you soon. Thanks for being here, Luke.
Absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you.
See you, man.
Thank you.
All right.